Illinois. First Sergeant Martino Valdez. Throughout its 80-year history, the division has a good job. Left turn. Good job, first strike. Good. J.P. McGee.
All right, good morning, everybody. Before I kick off my comments, I'm just going to ask all the soldiers who are out there in the field right now to go ahead and shake it out for about 15, 20 seconds. Go ahead, shake it out. I promise not to talk too long. I know it's hot. All righty. So let's begin. First off, I just want to highlight that one of the unique honors of being the CG is being able to do this ceremony, being able to pick some honor eagles. But I think sometimes some of the most interesting comments and conversations I have is we're taking the honor eagles and you sort of get the magnificence of the division in front of you and you get a chance to review it. 2 years ago, Vinny Esperanza, World War II vet, was one of our honor eagles, and as he went by, he commented that when I see these soldiers, I see the soldiers that I served with in 1944 and 1945. And then he said, I would never want to be a tyrant who stood between this division and them accomplishing their mission. And he said they look tremendous, and he said they put the fear of God in any tyrant and any dictator around the world. And then today with Jay Strabino and the Purdums, I mean, what we reflected on and what they pointed out is just how magnificent it is to be able to see this formation. And you cannot get the sense of how big and powerful and unified this division is until you see a division review. So for all the soldiers who are out there, thank you for adding so much to this ceremony by your presence and your professionalism. So let's begin by giving a big round of applause to our soldiers who are out there today. Again, you really are an impressive sight, and I have been involved in lots of division reviews from second lieutenant all the way up to major general, and I know it's one of those things that you hate to do, and as soon as you do them, you're like, okay, I got to admit that was pretty cool, and I hope you feel the same way. So distinguished guests, fellow general officers, family and friends, soldiers of the storied 101st Airborne Division standing tall in the parade field, good morning. I'd like to extend a special welcome to our elected officials, CASAs, and our 4 Campbell champions. We also have the pleasure of honoring several special groups here today. I'd like to recognize them with a Screaming Eagle welcome. I would like to highlight yet again, we have the great team from Meyer Eerstadt, the Netherlands, Kies and his entire team here. This is their last day being with us, but really significant to have the mayor of the municipality that contains so many strategically significant objectives during Operation Market Garden for this division. It's been a wonderful week to share it with you, and thank you very much for being here. Let's give them a round of applause. I would also like to say thank you and welcome to all the Gold Star and surviving family members. Your strength and resilience is awe-inspiring for all of us, and I want you to know you will always have a home here amongst the Screaming Eagles and at Fort Campbell. We're also honored to have quite a few Screaming Eagle families with us this morning. It should go without saying, but none of us who serve could do what we do without your unceasing love and support. Thank you for all that you do, and please, all of us, let's join in a round of applause for our wonderful families. Okay, this past year, we've been celebrating 80 years of Screaming Eagle excellence and heroism. Our collective history spans 7 conflicts, countless non-combat and support operations, and has seen hundreds of thousands of Americans wear our storied patch. Some of our veterans are here with us. I would like to highlight for the first time that we do not have any World War II veterans today. Their absence is felt by all, as is the tremendous sense of duty and obligation passed on from each and every one of them to each and every one of us who wears this uniform and wears the patch of the 101st Airborne Division. I would like to take a moment to recognize our Screaming Eagle veterans that we do have here today. If you're a veteran of Korea, Vietnam, Operation Desert Storm, or the last 2 decades of conflict in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, and elsewhere, no matter what service you're in or what unit, I would like you to please stand and be recognized. Let's join us in a round of applause for all of our veterans. Okay, making this morning and this entire week of the Eagles happen is quite an undertaking. It's a division-level mission. So many people go to great lengths to make this week possible, and they certainly deserve our recognition. I want to especially thank Major Greg Peralt, Sergeant Major Chris Upp, Sergeant First Class Seth Pottle, the protocol team, the Pratt Museum, the division band, our great firing battery, gun sounded great today, and most notably, all the Screaming Eagles standing on the field today. You all look tremendous, and I am incredibly humbled to be your commanding general. Please join me in another round of applause for everyone who has made this superb week a reality. When it came to selecting our Honor Eagles this year, I wanted to represent both our Vietnam veterans and the veterans of our most recent conflicts. One of the many things that I enjoy about the Week of the Eagles is it provides us an opportunity to review the many chapters of our division's rich history and we celebrate it together. Screaming Eagle soldiers from multiple eras and participation of many military campaigns converge in our Army home here at Fort Campbell. To represent our storied past, I had 3 distinguished veterans of the 101st accompany me on my inspection of the division. First, Colonel Retired Ted Purdom was a career infantryman, he still is an infantryman at heart, whose uniform service spanned 26 years and 3 overseas operations, Vietnam, Operation Desert Storm, and Somalia. His exceptional career included advising South Vietnamese, securing Somali cities during their civil war, and most notably, commanding the Strike Brigade during their assault into Iraq as part of Operation Desert Storm in 1991. He played an integral role in writing significant chapters of this division's history. He went on to serve as the Deputy Garrison Commander of Fort Campbell and the very first Division Director of the Mission Support Staff. He retired after a total of 33 years of combined service to our nation. But anyone who knows and respects Ted Purdom also knows that his better half is even more impressive. For this reason, I have also chosen Lieutenant Colonel Retired Gene Purdom. Gene is a career military nurse whose service spans 22 years in 2 conflicts, to include Vietnam and Operation Desert Storm. She served with compassion, providing medical care to Screaming Eagle soldiers injured on the front lines in Vietnam. They both deployed in pursuit of Operation Desert Storm. In retirement, Gene managed a construction program at Austin Peay State University that provided instruction to Screaming Eagle soldiers prior to their deployments to Iraq and to Afghanistan. This tremendous Army couple, the Purdoms, represents the very best of our Screaming Eagle community. Today, they're accompanied by their 2 sons, Matthew and Thomas, and their 4 grandchildren. Please join me in a round of applause for the tremendous Purdom family. Sergeant Retired Jay Strabino joined the military from Connecticut in the wake of the 9/11 attacks and deployed to Iraq as part of the initial invasion. And again, 2 years later, deployed to Iraq as part of 1st of the 506 Infantry, the mighty 1st Strike. In 2005, while patrolling in southwest Baghdad, he was involved in a firefight. He was shot 13 times. He refused to be evacuated until the fight was won, exemplifying exactly what it means to fight where he's told and win where he fights. He's gone on to become a field representative for U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn and remains active in many veteran organizations supporting Screaming Eagle soldiers. And he recently celebrated the birth of his child, and his mother is here with him today to be part of this ceremony as well. So it's really tremendous to have you there. Please join me in a round of applause for the great Jay Strabino. Okay, the Division Review is the culmination of the Week of the Eagles, where we honor our past, our fallen comrades, and have the opportunity to review the next generation of Screaming Eagle soldiers who will soon pass us by in review. This year we are celebrating 80 years of excellence and heroism, and taking stock of our continued preparations for our next chapter, our next rendezvous with destiny. Around this time last year, the first pages of our next chapter were being written. Russian aggression on NATO's eastern flank shattered the security of Europe that this division fought to establish during World War II. A security that NATO's helped secure for nearly 8 decades. A security that was suddenly being threatened. Once again, the nation and the world and the Army called upon the 101st Airborne Division, now Air Assault. As we arrived in theater, ambiguity loomed large and the division's mission was far from certain. We improved our fighting positions, trained our allies, and prepared to fight and win at any time, at any place, and against any adversary. We deployed to the front lines of the nation's deterrent mission. We were within 160 miles from Kherson, Ukraine, where the fighting was raging. We were and remain the most forward deployed force in the entire United States military to the Ukrainian fight. Screaming Eagle soldiers stood watch on NATO's southeastern flank, and they still do, assumed an area of operation that spanned over 240,000 square miles and consisted of 5 allied nations. In characteristic Screaming Eagle fashion, the division took the initiative. Screaming Eagle soldiers partnered and trained on the rocky Aegean coast in Greece, in the Arctic forests of Finland, along NATO's frontier in Estonia, on the lowland plains of Poland, and the heights of the Romanian Carpathian Mountains, to prepare for whatever fight might come. Once again, Screaming Eagle Patch came to represent something special to a whole new generation of Europeans, the same that it represented to Western Europe 8 decades ago, the assurance of freedom and security, the security of their democracies. We also sent a clear message to those who would threaten our allies. Screaming Eagle soldiers are prepared to fight and die to defend our allies. On top of this, our division TAC, under the superb leadership of Brigadier General John Loomis and Colonel Scott Wilkinson, ensured provision of aid to Ukraine, sustaining that nation's epic fight for freedom. As we celebrate our 80th anniversary, 8 decades in which this division has accomplished so much, it is only fitting that the world has once again noticed that the Screaming Eagle Patch represents that when the United States send the 101st, they're committing their very best. The world is perhaps the most dangerous it has been in at least the last 50 years. This danger will remain, and though we don't know how our next chapter ends, we do know how to prepare for it. In the coming months, the division will continue to train with and partner with our allies in Europe with our 1st Brigade, execute our division training density with the soldiers here at Fort Campbell, assume the Contingency Response Force mission for the nation, train at the Joint Readiness Training Center, and much more. No matter what, Screaming Eagle soldiers will be trained, disciplined, fit, cohesive, and ready to win the future fight at any time, at any place, and against any adversary. I would like to highlight that for many of us who are in command positions, that this is the last time we will assemble as Screaming Eagle commanders or sergeant majors. Myself, 4 brigade commanders, and multiple battalion commanders and sergeant majors will all leave soon. For that reason, this opportunity is special for each and every one of us, and for all of those, it's been a tremendous 2 years and a wonderful ride. I want everyone to remember a few things this morning. First, and as I said last year, this division was not made for sunny days on a parade field. This day was made for the worst days possible, stormy days in a distant land on the battlefields of tomorrow. Second, this division was built for the most dangerous course of action. Not only does our 80-year history speak to this undeniable fact, but the fact that Screaming Eagle soldiers are currently deployed to the front lines, what might be the future fight, gives testament to our need to be ready. And third and last, and this is nothing new, our history is defined by the legacy of heroism and excellence written by those who came before us. It is our job to train and live such that our legacy continues. To the soldiers on the field, I ask that you think about our division's history. I ask you to think about the legacy of excellence and heroism established over our 8-decade history. And finally, I ask to think about how you can prepare for the future fight, because if history tells us anything, it is this: our nation will once again call upon Screaming Eagles. Screaming Eagles, Air Assault.